I don't think that line was from Jingle All the Way. It's the right actor, but the wrong movie. Sal Capaccio now on the Western Hotline. Good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy is off this week. Good morning, Sal. Jingle All the Way, have you ever watched it, and is it a holiday classic if you have?
Okay, you have to remind me which one is that. Hold on, is that Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes, this is the Arnold Schwarzenegger Christmas movie. Sinbad also, I believe, is in it.
Okay, I have watched it. It's been a while, though, so I would not say it's classic because it doesn't come right to top of mind for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not one of the rewatchable Christmas movies as much.
Yeah, I mean,
pop right up.
I mean, if it's on, like, I think it actually was on the other day, but I don't think I stopped by it. You know what I mean? Like, Elf has been on lately, and I've definitely stopped by that a few times.
Yeah, which ones will you definitely stop on? Elf? What else?
Elf, A Christmas Story.
Yep, okay.
What else? You know, I've never really sat with It's a Wonderful Life, but it's actually a really good story and movie, you know?
Yeah, like you've seen it in parts maybe then?
Yeah.
That's where I was, and I think last year actually, I think I just sat and watched the entire thing. And it was good. It was good, you know, for a movie also that was made in, 1940 something. It was good. It holds up. As much
Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I think that's one I'll stop on. You know, that's a holiday movie, I guess, right? Christmas movie. I don't know. What do you want to call it? Right?
It's close enough. That's close enough. Die Hard's Christmas movie. Planes, Trains.
I know. Here we go again. Right? I know. So yeah, there's some, and then every once in a while you'll see something that comes across. You're like, oh, I haven't seen that in a long time. Whatever that might be, you forget about it. You know, but it's right there.
Sal Capaccio with us. Did you sit at all with the Monday night game last night and see? I mean, Rivers looked much more competent, and also I don't know if Bills fans are tracking, the rushing race the way that I am, but it was clear to me that Taylor's just not getting run right now. Like teams are stacking the box, and I don't know. So I don't know what they'll do with workload in the final two games. Maybe it matters also what you're playing for in Week 18, but Taylor's just not getting off lately. I feel like Cook is going to win the rushing title.
Yeah, he didn't have much last night. What did he have last night? What were his numbers?
56 on like 20 carries. So I think Cook's lead now is like 43 yards.
It is. It's 43 yards. Yeah. Well, listen, when you have an unathletic, I don't know how I want to say that. It sounds so bad to say it that way, but Daniel Jones could move a little bit, right? We know that. Daniel Jones can run. He's an athlete. He has to be accounted for as a runner. Phillip Rivers doesn't. So the only running back you have to account for is Jonathan Taylor in the backfield when he's there.
Right.
I think that changes the dynamic of the offense. It changes the way defenses play you. So I think it's obviously and one thing is I think I've noticed about Rivers watching. Oh, it's so fantastic watching. It really is, right? He's just so cool to listen to at the line of scrimmage, right?
Yep.
All the ways that he's calling out. It was a great line last night watching the game. Said like who was the play-by-play guy? Last night says
That's Joe Buck. Joe Buck.
Joe Buck. Sorry, Joe Buck. Yeah, Joe Buck. There's so many different night games.
Yeah.
So Joe Buck goes like a traffic cop calling out directions, right? It's just really cool. That's what he was doing. You go over here. You over there. But one thing is, I think I really noticed last night, he just does not have the zip on the ball. Like, maybe he's still got a strong arm. Like, he can throw it deep. He doesn't have the zip on the ball. There were a couple throws. He made incredible throws. But there were a couple throws I thought he just left a little too out there a little too long. You know what I mean?
Even the touchdown throw that he makes on the first drive, it's like, you can see, like, the ball just hangs in the air like that extra second.
Yeah, and you know, it's getting a little older, of course, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I think, though, going into the final couple games here, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, don't they play the Texans, right? I mean, that's a really good defense, obviously. Yeah. So they also play the Jags. Colts have Jags and Texans to end the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think James Cook has a real good look at it. The thing that's going to matter here is how the Bills play the final 2 weeks, to be quite honest with you, especially Week 18 maybe.
Right. And before we actually get into like the injury report and what's coming up, the schedule this week is different because of the holiday for the Bills?
It is. So we're going to hear today again from Sean McDermott. We heard yesterday from McDermott. We're going to hear again today from McDermott. And the reason is the team is going to have a walkthrough today instead of tomorrow, at least media availability today. They're going to have a walkthrough, and I imagine that's in lieu of tomorrow because we will hear from Josh Allen as well. And that's going to be important today. I want to hear from Josh Allen. The difference, though, today is we will hear from McDermott. He'll update us a little bit more on injuries. I don't know how much more we're going to get differently. And, Joe, there's no injury report today. Like, there's no injury report officially until tomorrow because the Bills play on Sunday. So when we get it, then it's going to be probably some sort of estimation. And then again on Thursday, it's Christmas. There's no media and practice to watch. Honestly, Joe, like we're not going to know much about injuries until Friday when McDermott joins me on the Extra Point Show.
Right, that'll be a big reveal then, really, when he's on
Yeah,
with you.
I mean we'll get official injury reports from the team Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be more of estimations on both days, or right there's I don't really know how much we're going to get out of that.
Yeah. So let's get into what we learned yesterday. The Barnes Firm Injury Report brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. And let's obviously start with Josh Allen. How did it sound from McDermott? Does it feel like, about as positive an update as you might have expected?
Yes, at least positive updates as you hope for, because obviously with Josh is such a warrior, and he does not miss plays, much less games. And for him to be in pain and limping to the locker room the way he was, we know that he had x-rays. We know he finished the game, but you never know what can happen after the game. You never know about swelling or anything like that. So McDermott said he's day-to-day with his foot injury. He is in the day-to-day category with 3 other players from the game: Daquan Jones with a calf, Jordan Poyer with a hamstring, Shaq Thompson with a neck. I would say that's as encouraging as you can get from any standpoint, with all those guys only being day-to-day. Now, day-to-day could mean that they're still not playing this week. But with Josh Allen, McDermott did specifically say when asked, like, he does not believe it should hold him back this week to play the game, but it might actually impact his practice status this week. Joe, we're going to see Josh on the injury report this week. The question is, will he practice? Will he not practice? I just don't anticipate anything from what McDermott said yesterday, keeping him back from playing the game Sunday against the Eagles.
You also might expect that it changes, maybe it's only a little bit, but how they would call plays, because they'd started mixing in quarterback runs designed with him a little bit more and more, and if he's dealing with anything in these final 2 weeks, you might think that that's probably not going to happen.
Right. So, I mean, the next 2 weeks are really interesting, and I would say this too: no matter what's going on with Josh, no matter where the Bills are in the standings, Josh Allen's going to be under center the first snap of the game, right? Because he's got a streak that he cares about, the team cares about, his teammates care about, his availability, his starting streak. We saw that last year, Week 18. So even if they get to Week 18, if he's dealing with the foot and it's kind of like, well, how much is there to play for here? I just wonder how they play everything going forward here, to be honest with you.
Right. The other injuries, Poyer, hamstring. Hamstring can often mean a couple of weeks, Sal, but he was in the day-to-day category. So what do you think about what we learned from him? And then also, like, if he were to miss any time, like, where would they be at safety in replacing him?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, number one, older player, hamstring injury. He probably played earlier than everybody thought he would this year. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to give Jordan Poyer a little time off, but at the same time, he's been playing well for you, right? So it's not like you necessarily want him out of the lineup. You don't. You want him in there. But, Jordan Poyer, maybe his body could use a little rest, and hamstring injury, you don't want to push that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play on Sunday just because of that. They generally play the long game with a hamstring injury. If he doesn't play, last week it was not Jordan Hancock who came in. It was Cam Lewis who came in for him. So I wonder if that would be the play right there. But that could be just an in-game adjustment, what they're doing, how Cleveland's playing. I mean, Jordan Hancock, to me, could really use some valuable reps, to get him in there and get him a little more time on the back end. There's another guy named Darnell Savage we haven't seen yet, though, Joe. Darnell Savage is on the active roster. They claimed him when Darius Slay didn't report. I wouldn't mind seeing what he brings to the table. Now, it not going to be at the expense of losing a game. You don't want to do that. These games matter right now. The Bills are still, fighting for a division. And who knows? I don't think the Patriots are going to lose to the Jets, but maybe you get to Week 18 and, the Dolphins come up with a big running game or whatever. I think you just have to play this out. And at least this week, you're putting on the best lineup you can. But I do wonder if that would be Jordan Hancock, if that would be moving Cam Lewis over there to safety, or if that would be Darnell Savage, who is on the active roster.
Is DeMar Hamlin, by the way, done for the year? He's just been sitting on IR, right?
He has. The way McDermott phrased it the other day when asked was, I would say it this way: he didn't close the door on Hamlin being able to return, but it didn't sound like it was something that was really imminent in any capacity.
Okay. Sal Capaccio with us on the Wester hotline. Starting to look at this game a little bit, Sal. Again, like, we'll see what Allen's able to do and who's able to be available, right? Poyer and Jones and Thompson. This Eagles matchup, how do you see it early in the week? I mean, this is a team that has been kind of maybe kind of like the Bills, but even to the more extreme, the confusion of why do they have these games where they just kind of don't have it all figured out. But I think with the Eagles, it seems to happen a lot more than it does with the Bills.
Yeah, right. I mean, it is funny. The Eagles are the poster child example of what I say every week on the Extra Point Show. I talk about all the time, which is if you only watch football through the prism of your own team and think like, why can't my team do this? Why can't my team do that? Then you're not doing it right and not really getting a good perspective. You have to see what's happening around the league. The Eagles are the poster child for this. They are the defending Super Bowl champions. And yet it seems like every week, every other week, their fans are very upset at the things they cannot do. I mean, in 3 straight weeks, they scored 21, 15, and 19 points not too long ago, right? They blew a 21-0 lead against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the last 2 weeks, they've come back in a big way. I mean, they scored, 60? They've outscored their opponents 60-18 over the last 2 weeks. That's the Raiders and Commanders, right? Not world beaters. But they won 4 in a row, they lost 2. They won 4 in a row, they lost 3. They won 2 in a row, right? I mean, they're very hot and cold. They're very streaky. There always seems to be drama going on. It's basically a team that, yes, they're trying to figure it out at the right time, just like the Bills are trying to figure it out at the right time to put everything together. In the meantime, they're good enough. They have a good enough roster to be able to get to where they are with, 10 wins for them, 11 wins for the Bills, and still, Bills' case, clinch a playoff spot. In their case, already clinch a division. So they're still that good, and they could still beat you by a couple of touchdowns, or they could be in the fourth quarter going, why have we only scored 10 points?
That's the thing that is so confusing about them is I can look at the Bills roster and see okay, they don't have maybe the most talent at this position and this position. Like the Bills have maybe a deep roster, but not, no one would call it a loaded, elite players all over the place. The Eagles have talent, it feels like, at every position group. And that doesn't appear to be the thing that holds them back. So figuring out what it is, I could see why an Eagles fan would be frustrated, even though they just won the Super Bowl. It's because why is this really not working or looking better when our roster has again all pro talent almost at every position group?
Yeah, it's a real good question. I mean, your brother would be a good person to ask this, and I'm sure maybe you'll talk to him this week. But I would say that I think offensive line has been an issue a bit this year. They've had injuries, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Lane Johnson in and out of the lineup. That's hurt them for sure. I mean, they just have not been able to run the ball the way that they were last year, the way that they have been with Saquon in the past. You think about what James Cook is doing. James Cook is 500 yards ahead of Saquon Barkley this year. They just haven't been able to run the ball like that. And I think there's always questions about the quarterback. He's such a gamer. He really is. I mean, I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan. I really am. Jalen Hurts seems like a great teammate, great leader. He can go out there. He's a gamer. But I do think he has limitations. And I think sometimes when everything is not really great around him, it feels like that those limitations start to show up a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sal, finally, the Bills, so they clinch a playoff spot officially last night with the Colts loss. So it's another year in the postseason. And I wonder, is there any room for you on, extra credit or maybe, on a day like today for the Bills overall or McDermott or whoever, just because it's a year where, all right, we've seen that you can have the elite quarterback and still find a way to miss the playoffs because there's 3 teams that's going to happen to, and here are the Bills. They've got problems, and they're still finding a way to get there.
Yeah, I think any team that gets to the playoffs 7 straight years deserves a lot of credit from top down. It can't be just quarterback all the time because, we see teams like the Chiefs. We see teams like the Ravens. We see teams like the Bengals, and they're not in there. And it's pretty remarkable when you have a streak like this. I believe the Bills right now have the longest current active streak of making the playoffs of any team in the NFL since the Chiefs are out this year, to be honest with you. It's hard to do. You get to the playoffs 2-3 straight years. A lot of times there's a bit of a reset. There's a step back. And that really hasn't happened to the Bills. This actually has been a bit of a step back because they're going to finish apparently maybe second in the division. I know they can still win it. So, yeah, I do think that the organization overall deserves credit, but I don't know if anybody wants to hear that, Joe, because they've been to this spot and they haven't gotten that far, and as far as they want. Everybody, that's the ultimate goal. And through this run, they haven't ultimately made it to a Super Bowl. And if they don't this year, no one's going to really care that much that they've made 7 straight years, and they're going to say it doesn't matter. You can make it 10 straight years. I remember, now I'm not comparing the 2 coaches or organizations, But I think this is what happened like in Cincinnati when Marvin Lewis would every year make the playoffs and they couldn't make it. What's happening in Pittsburgh every year right now, right? But the difference is there, Pittsburgh, obviously they have a Super Bowl under Mike Tomlin. Same thing with John Harbaugh. They have a Super Bowl in Baltimore. The Bills don't have that grace for fans to say, this is great. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I shared the story with you the other day. I know I was on the air, and I think I did with Schoten Bulldog. But either way, I was in Cleveland and talking with a media member, and he said to me, boy, what's it like covering a really good team every year? And I'm like, wow, look, there's a lot of pressure on this team. Like, yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
But unlike in Cleveland, when no one is expecting you to win right now, like everybody needs the Bills to win because it's just this pressure cooker that, yeah, you're really good, but you got to win. And then he said to me, and this is a really good comparison. He said, well, it's like covering the Cavs with LeBron, right? Like they were so good every year that you don't enjoy the success because it's so much pressure to win the ultimate title if you don't do it.
Right. Like LeBron would lose in the finals, and that was looked at as a failure for him.
Right, and you don't enjoy the successes along the way, he said. And I think today's a day for that, Joe, to answer your original question. I think today is a day for that. Like, today's a day to enjoy, like, look at how successful this team truly has been, and try and enjoy those successes along the way.
I envy the people that can do that on a consistent basis, because I think, I said this earlier or the other day, that They not only need to win one because obviously they need to win one and this city has never seen it and everybody wants them to, but also I feel like, Sal, the sooner they win it, the sooner everybody can get to enjoying everything. Like if that pressure is alleviated, I don't think it would go over here the way it has in Philadelphia. And maybe it's because they've won other championships, but they're right back the next year, like, what is happening, yelling at the coach, screaming about the quarterback. And I think that it's tougher for some Bills fans to enjoy the win is a win type of mentality when you just have that pressure lurking over your shoulder, which is, this quarterback is 30 and I don't have one yet. Like, come on, let's do it. Because if they were to do it, I think everybody after that would kind of, be able to enjoy everything a lot easier.
No, I don't doubt it. I don't argue with you on that. I will tell you, I can speak from experience in this regard as a Syracuse basketball fan, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for many, many years, they had made Final Fours. They went to the national title in 87 and lost. They went to the national title in 96 and lost. They had this coach who was there a long, long time, went to Final Fours, never won it. Finally, they won it in 03. And it was just the balloon finally popped, the air. Oh, my God. Like, you finally have that. But Joe, I will tell you, even that, like, it does go away pretty quickly because you find yourself right back competing and everybody telling you can't win another one and it was a fluke or all these different things, right? I mean, like, everything comes in. You're right. I think that, like, you got to take time to kind of smell the roses a bit. You got to take time to enjoy the successes. And if that were to happen, I think, okay, we're good here for a little while. The flag will fly forever. Mm-hmm. But then you start to think about what's the next step. Well, Josh now needs how many to get to Mahomes and Josh needs how many to seal his legacy for all these other Hall of Famers. And I think that would become the next talk. And it's different this year because you see the Patriots and Drake May now, right? And I think that's what's starting to happen as well.
Yep. All right, Sal. Have you looked up how many more visits the Bills have to Arrowhead yet? Or could have to Arrowhead?
Oh, you know what? I did not. And next year is not one of them. Next year, I believe the Chiefs come here again.
They're here, yeah. So I don't know if they would go there until I can pull it up real quick. The Bills will be playing at the AFC West TBD team in 2027 and in 2028. So they're really not guaranteed to go there for the next couple of years.
They have to be in the same spot they finish over the next 2 years to be able to do that. So they will go to one of the AFC West teams over the next couple of years. I did also see that by 2031 or 2032, I didn't realize, I guess, is Denver building a dome? Because I read someone tweeted that everybody in the AFC West will be playing in a dome by, like, that time.
Okay. I know Denver was looking at a new stadium, so that wouldn't be surprising.
So I wonder, I didn't see that was, like, finalized, but I guess apparently that might be the case.
This is a lot in a short amount of time, isn't it? The Bills' new stadium, yes. Tennessee is already building it, Jacksonville, right? And then, how many am I missing? Cleveland, and then the couple we just mentioned. Like, that's a lot of stadiums in a short amount of time.
Yeah, so this is, I think if you think about the history of kind of sports in this regard, this is kind of what happens where you get a bunch of them and then nothing for 25 years and then a
Sure,
bunch of
right.
them again. And it's funny, Joe. I literally had this conversation on the field with somebody the other day thinking, okay, when the Browns came back in, they built that stadium in 99. That stadium is only 25 years old. Now, they built it pretty quick. Let's get one up. We want to get our team back. I get it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like a lot of the stadiums now and all these studies and it takes years and years. But it's like that stadium is half the age of the Highmark Stadium, and they're
Right.
replacing it and building
Right.
a dome, right? You know what I mean? It's crazy to think about in that regard.
Right. All right. Thank you, Sal. Looking forward to the Christmas Eve poem tomorrow. So
Yeah,
enjoy the
I'm
rest of
still still working on rhyming Kekalainen. So
if I think of anything, I'll let you know. I'm not sure I will.
I got you, buddy.
All right,
You got it.
Thanks, Sal.
Yep.
All right, 803-0550. If you can come up with anything that rhymes with Kekalainen. Maybe rhyming with Yarmo would be a little bit easier. You could definitely rhyme something with Yarmo, I'm sure. Yarmo Parmo? It's not really a word, but I don't know.